There was no other fine dining Mexican restaurant in Vegas. Mexican food always brought me back. The sense of community, the sense of belonging, and just like the flavors and the vibrant notes. I always think of Mexican cuisine as like very communal and very familial. When you eat it, you're surrounded by your friends and you're just having all of these bites and you're having great conversation and great tequila, great mezcal, and that was the whole feeling of the entire experience. So when we started getting all of these elite chefs, let's say, to come to Vegas, and I would be able to share Casa Playa with them, you could see that they were enjoying it. Being able to take home this award is so meaningful for every person that works at the restaurant and just the city, and it feels really great.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Perfect Bite podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Perkins. When I say Las Vegas, it's easy to think slot machines, the Sphere, and pool parties. But there's a beautiful dining scene to be discovered past the neon lights, specifically at the Wynn. Today's guest transports us to coastal Mexico in the middle of the Nevada desert, a concept I can't imagine she thought she'd be doing growing up in those Bostonian winters. And she does it with so much heart and grace, you'd think you were joining her in her own home. Please welcome the 2026 James Beard Best Chef Southwest winner, Executive Chef of Casa Playa, Chef Sarah Thompson. Sarah.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you on here. I'm so glad we got to meet a few weeks ago. It was right after your big win, your big moment. So I'm just so excited for folks to hear your full journey and story and what you're going to get up to next. I think this is definitely the beginning.
That's the plan. That's the hope.
Definitely. How have you been feeling the last few weeks? I mean, you're in the height of summer in the middle of Vegas, and you're coming off of this huge moment.
I mean, I feel great. After the awards, like Vegas has not been recognized on the James Beard platform in 15 years. And being able to bring it back, we've been through the moon. I have a very young team. Like I've celebrated so many 21st birthdays, and so many of them came up in restaurants. Their parents are in the restaurant industry, or they went to school for hospitality, and their entire career or most of their life, they've never seen anyone in Vegas accomplish anything like this. So being able to do this and bring this home and represent the city and really showcase what we're doing and put Vegas on a map in a totally new way has been amazing. And people are ordering so much more food now. It's amazing.
So tell me why you think that is. Is it because they were like, oh, there's some clout here. Like, let's get the whole menu and make sure we try it all.
Vegas is such an interesting city because we cater to everyone. We're built on tourism. So we have people from the Midwest. We have people from Australia. We have people from all over Europe, Canada, Mexico, you name it, they come to Vegas. Every place in the world comes to Vegas, and we need to cater to everyone. So the menu is designed to have a little bit of something for everyone. So for every, maitake mushroom with truffles and mole blanco, or like kampachi with tomato dashi and finger lime, there's a chicken enchilada or a queso fundido. We have to balance it out because we want to make sure we are inclusive and we have something for everyone. But the people who are coming to the restaurant now recognize us as a culinary destination. We're seeing a lot more of the local Las Vegas market come in, and people are asking what the servers would recommend, like asking for curated experiences that really showcase what we're doing. And it's really cool to be able to share that with everyone.
It is so exciting. And I see your face light up too, and how excited you get about this new place that you've called home the last few years, Vegas, and how you've fallen in love with it. So I'm excited for us to get into that as we get into your whole journey here. And really, like you said too, it's not just rumblings anymore. We all need to be going to Vegas for the food and actually experiencing it, and not just me thinking, oh God, like chicken tenders at the pool, which is part of the experience. You can have it all,
As long as you got a frozen margarita in your other hand, have fun. You can make Vegas whatever you want it to be.
Yes.
If you want to go to the pool all day, if you want to go to a really fancy restaurant, if you want to go to a Cirque show, a football game, do it. There's something for everyone here.
Yes.
Just maybe not if you're like a small child, honestly. It's a lot more targeted to 21 plus, but there's still something for everyone.
I know. Technically, the first time I went to Vegas, I think I was 12 or 13 because I had an aunt and uncle getting married outside of the city. And there were so many moments where they would be like, oh, you look like an underage child. You're not allowed to stand in certain areas even. So the lazy river on that trip was fun. But yeah.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, this is not for me.
I had the same experience. We were doing a family trip to the Grand Canyon
Uh,
and Bryce and Zion, and my dad loves Las Vegas. He would come for a conference every year and he would come home and his gifts to us would always be chips from casinos. So I have chips from casinos that aren't even open anymore and I would collect them. I was obsessed with them. So he brought us, I was 12, my brothers were 10. We stayed at the Luxor and he was having the time of his life. And it was like the middle of the summer, it was our summer vacation. I think it was probably July. And we were just like, what is this place? Like, it smells like cigarettes. The pool is dirty. Where are we supposed to be? You have to have a chaperone at all times. It was so confusing. So going back as an adult with that as my baseline memory has been like, wow, this is a lot different.
I love how it's so full circle for you too, that you even have these little chips and you didn't know they were like for your future, for your destiny, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh,
Who would have thought?
okay. Let's take that back even further here. You did grow up in the Boston area. Were you growing up in the
Yes.
city? And tell us about when you first fell in love with food. How was eating and cooking like in your household growing up? What about growing up in that area too really influenced any sort of passion you had for food?
So I can't stress enough. I grew up in the suburbs. I did not grow up in the city. And I grew up actually
We all
like
have to say that,
30,
right?
45 minutes outside of Boston, but it's like the only place in Massachusetts most people recognize. So that's what I say. But food was always really important to my family. We weren't necessarily over adventurous eaters. Like my mom collected the Bonap magazine. She has every single Bonap magazine from 1989 to 2022, and they're all organized in our basement by year. It's incredible. So we'd always be trying new things, but everything was always focused around family dinner. I played a lot of sports. I played musical instruments. I have two brothers. They played lots of sports instruments. We were just very, very active, very busy family. But no matter what, we sat down for dinner every night. And I loved it. And I didn't realize that's not what everyone did, but there was a huge focus on that. And it brought us together. And then as I got older, I wanted to be more involved in that. So I would help my mom plan out dinners for the week. And I'd be like, I want to try this recipe this week and this recipe this week. So we would do that. It was really awesome. And my mom is always really good at hosting. We always hosted like Christmas and Thanksgivings and like we'd have a great spread. And then as I got older, we were playing sports. We would have pasta parties. I would always be really excited about making like new things for everyone or bringing cookies or lava cakes to school to share with my friends. And it just always was something I was passionate about. So when it was time to kind of like, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to be a chef. And it was the only career path that I pursued. Went to culinary school right out of high school, and there's no looking back.
And your parents were so supportive, it sounds like, of it too, because I've had so many guests on here too who were like, yes, I ended up at CIA or I ended up at another culinary school, but my parents were like, you got to go do something else first. And then if you really, really want it, you can go. So you said, no, this is it. This is what's happening.
They knew like I was a very decisive kid. You know, I wanted it. I set my mind to it. And they saw that and they were going to support me no matter what. And they were actually at the awards both years. So it was awesome for this year, especially that we were able to bring home a medal.
They must be so proud of you, just no matter what. But I mean, just seeing you take, again, something that you were passionate about from childhood, knew exactly what you wanted, and you applied it and you reached it. And there's even more to come. What zodiac sign are you?
I'm a Leo.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. I was like, I love it. You're like very determined. I'm a Virgo. So I'm like your like
Okay.
zodiac sister, where I'm like decisiveness. I feel this.
Yes. I'm cuspy. So I'm like right there. But I feel like
Right there.
definitely Leo.
Yes. Yes. Tell us about those years at CIA. So you had, right, as that 17, 18-year-old. What were you learning within the classroom and within that space itself that really got you excited to then head to the bigger city, New York, right after school? And what were you discovering about yourself and your own take on just different cuisine during that time?
CIA is really cool because they take you through a little bit of everything. You go to culinary school, so you're not learning like regular classes. Like you have product knowledge, you have like restaurant math. And then you go through like skills classes where you learn like classic mother sauces. It's very French, traditional French kind of brigade system type stuff. Like you learn knife work, you learn how to make stocks, just like the baseline things that you could apply to a lot of different restaurants. are a lot of different cuisines, honestly. And then from there, you work through the world. You have cuisines of Americas, cuisines of Asia's, cuisines of the Mediterranean. And as the students, you're making the food for everyone's meal periods. So you're in class either in the morning or in the night, and you're making lunch for the entire school or dinner for the entire school. Like that's your class. And I think it's so interesting how that's all put together. And then you have like a main kitchen class where you learn banquet style stuff where you're doing like bigger events or you'll make the food for the graduation. And just every class, it gets bigger and bigger. And the expectation gets higher and higher. But as soon as I went to culinary school, I knew I wanted to end up in New York. New York to me was the most competitive food city, very competitive, love playing sports. And when I was in culinary school, at least one weekend a month, I would go down to the city with my roommates and we would pick a restaurant. I ate at 11 Madison Park when it got 3 stars, and then it got 4 stars, and then it got too expensive. We would go to Gramercy Tavern, we would go to Maria, we would go to Mama Fuku's Sambar when that first opened, because I was in culinary school when that first opened, and that was a like mind-blowing experience because I had never really had that type of food before. It wasn't accessible, in Hyde Park, New York, or the suburbs of Boston. And it was just really cool. And it just developed your palate and it gave you a lot to be excited about.
Yeah.
You wanted to take these flavors and ideas and apply them to everything, but you're still developing the skill set to be able to do that. So it just definitely kept that passion alive.
Love that you also were like, I'm doing this for fun, but also it was such good research for you to bring it back to the classroom and be like, let me try this again, because I can't imagine cooking for that many people of your own peers at that scale all the time. Like, I would feel so much pressure.
Oh yeah,
I'd be
we're
like,
known
oh
for
God,
being
everyone's
super
gonna be like,
judgmental.
no, they hate that one. And on top of your professors grading your work. So I love that you had the proximity here as well. It's just such a beautiful, interesting area of the country too. I feel like you've got the East Coast and the gorgeous farms in upstate New York and Vermont in that area. You've got then the Midwest, which we're a lot more commercial here, but we do have some beautiful produce farms like the Chef's Garden. And then you've
Yes.
got the West Coast. So you kind of choose these little buckets and say, hey, where am I going to take this and really expand upon it? So I want to talk about your New York years as well here. Before making your own name, big itself, you were with some wonderful folks and restaurants. You were at Maria with Amador Acosta, Wiley Dufresne, of course, at Alder. And then I feel like a really pivotal relationship and mentorship and time for you with Daniela Soto Inez at Cosme. So I want to hear a little bit about how you went from, hey, I like, say, Italian food, or you were learning the French mother sauces and a lot more classical, to finding your way to this love with especially Mexican cuisine.
Yeah, I mean, so when I graduated culinary school, I knew I wanted to work at Maria. I love Italian food. I didn't know how to make pasta. I didn't know how to do any of it. And I had dined there and had a mind blowing experience. And then during my first few months there, they got their second Michelin star. And that was really cool to be a part of. Because when I started, I didn't even know how to be a line cook. I was making salads and checking oysters to order. And then I started working the crudo station. I started getting my hands on some fish. And that's when Amador kind of saw me and took me under his wing and showed me how to break down fish and taught me how to be a line cook. Maria is a high volume restaurant. People go in and they encourage everyone to get a 4-course meal, like an appetizer, a pasta, an entree, dessert. And they're doing that for 350, 400 covers a night. That's a lot to coordinate. So I went from being the garde manger cook to being their fish roast cook. And I was their fish roast cook for a year, just coordinating all of these fish. They would have, sometimes 6 or 7 different fish on the menu that you're just coordinating the different cooks of. And learning that was very important. And I love seafood. I love the crudo aspect of it. They would get all these unique fish in, and then going from raw to the cooked and just learning all of these different nuances and getting your hands on all of these really beautiful, especially East Coast fish. I loved it. But, I was just a cook and I wanted to continue to learn. You're ambitious. So Amador actually connected me with Wiley because he used to work with Wiley at WD50, and Wiley was opening Alder at the time. So he connected us and I was part of the opening team. Wiley's such a good teacher and he's very creative. So my time there was a lot about thinking about food in a totally different way. Like at Maria, you're executing. I was 21 years old. Like I had no business making anything. I was still learning. And then once you get to Alder, it was a much smaller restaurant. Like you're forced to learn how to be creative. They want your input on the menu. They want you to think about food, give you a radish. And he's going to tell you, you can't just slice this and put it on a plate. Like, how are you going to make this radish so unique and so different from anything anyone else has ever experienced, but still keep true to the ingredient? So it was always a challenge. He made you think and made you use parts of your brain that you didn't think that you would ever use. And that really helped me a lot because you don't often have chefs that just force you to be creative because it's not something that comes naturally and it's not easy. It's the most difficult, but the most rewarding part of my job right now. So that was really cool. And then Alder was not super long lived, unfortunately, and it was closing. And someone I went to culinary school with came in on one of the closing days and was like, "Hey, I just got a job at this restaurant Cosme and they're looking for another sous chef. You should apply." And I didn't know anything about Mexican food. I didn't know, like, Daniela had not made a name for herself yet. She had just come to New York. Cosme did not get that 3-star New York Times review yet. They hadn't been on the 50 best list. Daniela hadn't won the James Beard Award. It really just was like a new restaurant. Like, I didn't know Enrique Oliveira. I didn't know anything about Puyol. I didn't know about masa. I didn't know about tortillas. So I went just kind of ignorant, honestly, but I was blown away. Like, I knew nothing. Like, I couldn't even tell you what a guajillo chili was. And I was trying things that just made my palate so excited. And just like things I never thought I would be able to experience, like flavors. It was just like bursts of citrus and spice and just depth of flavors and the moles and the fresh tortillas. Like, I had never had a fresh tortilla before. And it was just mind blowing. And Daniela, she's amazing. And she just took me under her wing and taught me so much. She taught me about Mexican cuisine. Like, all of the other cooks there were also very young and very ambitious, but I was the only white girl. Like, everyone else was Latin or Mexican. There's some people from Colombia, people from Peru, like all over Latin America. And they also loved teaching. They would show me so much about their cuisine and Mexican cuisine and different flavor profiles. And there's a lot of people from Venezuela. We did a lot of Venezuelan arepas, like, which are, in my opinion, the best arepas. But it was really amazing. And it was probably the turning point in my career because once I started working at Cosme, I did leave to try to do something else, but Mexican food always brought me back. The sense of community, the sense of belonging, and just like the flavors and the vibrant notes. I always think of Mexican cuisine as like very communal and very familial. Like, when you eat it, you're surrounded by your friends and you're just having all of these bites and you're having great conversation and great tequila or great like mezcal. And that was the whole feeling of the entire experience.
I love too that you even describe your team, that you're working with that same feeling that we all get when we go to a Mexican restaurant, whether it's like the local spot that's like very authentic and you're just hanging out, or to a spot like yours, like Casa Playa, where it's elevating the food and it's honoring it and getting creative in different ways. Is that whole sense of community. Like you said, you are ready to learn. You are ready to be respectful and honor something that you're like, yeah, I did not grow up with this. This is so different. And I felt that way too with age, as you get to know different cuisines and cultures, is like, holy cow, I've been missing out on this my whole life.
Yeah.
And this beautiful history, that's all part of it too. Like Mexico, I love it so much too.
And it's so diverse too. You're traveling and it influences the type of Mexican food we have here. There's a reason why Mexican food in California and Mexican food in Texas are completely different in the states that they're adjacent to. And as you travel further down the coast to like Oaxaca and the Yucatan and all of the different areas, like learning about the different nuances and the different ingredients and just different techniques that they use is really beautiful.
Yes. And like you said too, it's not just, hi, this is one country. This is many different regions and many different types of people coming together. When we were in Mexico City last year, we ended up at this really cool, I don't know if it was totally legal, but this was an incredible mezcal tasting. And it was run by a husband and wife team. It's only because I think they just don't have a license for the space that they're in, but they're talking about all the different masters that they meet throughout the country and that they're driving to all these crazy tiny places to find different mezcal from. And they do all taste really different. So it's a special place for sure.
There's a lot of like in the mezcal alone, like there's so many different types of agaves. It's like
Yes.
you have different types of apples and like they grow differently and they taste different and they're used for different things. And some of them are, the different yields and how like whether you distill it in copper or clay. And then there's the next nuance of like the pechugas and oh, you could just have a whole episode about that.
Good. I'll have to get that husband and wife team on. I think that
Yeah.
would be really fun. And as long as they feel comfortable not revealing like where they're at, because we actually met them down the street and they're like, you're going to come with us. No pictures. Like, you're like, is this going to be okay? But it was incredible. It was a
Those
beautiful.
are the experiences
Yeah.
that like you're going to remember forever.
100%. Tell us, so during your time at Cosme, were you traveling to Mexico? Were you starting to get to know different regions? I know it's kind of like choosing a baby, but is there any that you tend to lean towards or recognize that you were leaning towards?
So when I was working at Cosme, I would travel to Mexico City, I feel the most. One of my really good friends grew up in Mexico City. And I remember the first time I went there with her and her family. And I stayed at her mom's house and I was eating just, Mexican breakfast. And I was just like, this is the best thing I've ever eaten in my life. But then I just continued to go. And I think of Mexico City as like the culinary epicenter of Mexico. It's very diverse. Like there's influence from a lot of different cuisines. There's a lot of tradition, but it's a huge city. And I feel like that's where the most creative restaurants are. But then as you travel to like Oaxaca and the Yucatan, you're going to see a lot more traditional things. So like I would go to Mexico City quite a bit and then I would go to Oaxaca as well because we would get a lot of our ingredients from Oaxaca. We get our corn and a lot of our agaves from Oaxaca and a good amount of our chilies as well. But it was just really cool seeing like the origin of everything that we were using. It just heightened my respect for everything that we were doing. And it
Yes.
was just cool to learn and appreciate.
Incredible. Well, just a couple of years ago, so this is post-pandemic, and bad as the pandemic was, of course, there was a lot of moments of, I feel like, rebirth and also of just new beginnings that came after this time. You were invited by the Wynn specifically to open the concept of Casa Playa. Tell us how that relationship started, how you were feeling like, wow, this is time to do essentially my own thing, which is kind of nice also with the stability of the backing of something like the Wynn. And then what were you feeling? Oh, holy cow, I'm going to move myself to Las Vegas from growing up on the East Coast all your life.
So I actually moved to Las Vegas to open a restaurant with Daniela and Enrique. It was called Ilio. And then it was slated to open March 16th, 2020, which is when everything absolutely shut down. And the restaurant did eventually open and then close again because of the pandemic, and then open and then close because it wasn't the time. It wasn't right. There's a lot going on in the world and it wasn't time to promote or encourage. Las Vegas is built on tourism. There's no tourism. No one was coming to Vegas. And also not a lot of people were working. So especially in Vegas, which is a hospitality driven city, like if there's no one coming, there's not a lot of people working. So it's like a whole downward cycle. But after they decided that this concept wasn't going to work out, the Wynn asked me to stay on and open my own Mexican restaurant. And they were very vague. They were like, we want a coastal Mexican restaurant. And that's the only assignment.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I specialize in seafood. I love seafood. And I had been cooking Mexican food for the last 5 years. So it just became, I said yes. And we spent the next few months developing the restaurant. We opened September 2021. So we're about to turn 5,
Oh my God.
which is awesome.
Congrats.
I know. I can't believe
So
it. My baby's
fast.
all grown up. I know. Time has flown by. But putting it together was a really unique experience. Because like I said, the clientele in Vegas is the entire world. So you're catering to a lot of different people. And there was no other fine dining Mexican restaurant in Vegas. So we're getting compared to restaurants like, Javier's and
Yes.
then,
love
Viva
Javier's.
opened across the street. But we're doing something different. So it was very hard for executives to look at these concepts and compare what we're doing. So when I was trying to do something a little bit different, more unique, they wanted to play it safe, especially after the pandemic, which is fine. I totally understand it. But as we've grown and as we've developed and as we've established more of a name for ourselves as a creative culinary destination, I've gotten a lot more freedom to go my own way with it, which has been really awesome to have that support and have the resources to do so. Working for the Wynn and working for a major corporation like that is really interesting because I feel like people especially looking from the outside. Independent restaurants might have a lot of judgment and stigma around it, and I don't blame them. But I think it's really cool because, we work in a union environment. My team is able to get paid a very good wage. They have access to insanely reasonably priced healthcare. They have 401ks. They have scholarship programs. They have access to everything that this big company provides for every employee that is very difficult for independent restaurants to offer. And I know a lot of people are changing their structures so they can, which is good because it's really hard to thrive in the hospitality industry. Like when I was coming up, I remember when I went from making $12 to $13, it was like a game-changing moment, like living in New York. And I'm reflecting on that. I'm like, how did I do that? But being able to provide that stability for my employees means a lot to me. And at the same time, I want everyone to be recognized and represented and built up and have the support system. Working for a company like the Wynn, you don't need to worry about when your oven breaks. If your oven breaks, you call an engineer and they come and they fix it. And it's amazing. But because of that, I want to take all of that time that I would spend, calling people or trying to maintain this, funneling that back into my team, making sure that they're supported, making sure that they're learning and growing. Yes. Like one of the reasons why I've had all of the success that I've had is because I've had mentors at every job I've had that have taught me different things, who have built me up, who have taken the time to teach me and guide me along the way. There's definitely a learning curve going from a small independent restaurant to a casino, but the support system that's in place builds you up and allows you to thrive.
So happy to hear that. And it's nice that you feel like you're in a position to, because, the difference between, say, scrappy entrepreneurship and having the backing of something like the Wynn or a large corporation is sometimes you can feel like, I don't get to be that creative, or, oh my gosh, how many hoops do I have to jump in just to get something done? Or folks don't feel like they can have the chance to move up and grow. So I want to talk more about your team here. You're known for having over 50% women on your team, which is really special, I think, especially within a kitchen. I want to hear about your process when it came to building a team and hiring, why that was so important for you. And then let's talk too about what progress you think has happened within the industry for women to be respected and to receive the same opportunities as their male counterparts. And also what you all think we can keep doing better so that we can actually get to a place of equity, hopefully one day. We're all sitting here at the glass ceiling being like, stop it. Get out of here.
Well, it's funny. I mean, there's a lot of parts to answer there.
Yeah.
So growing up in New York, let's dive in. So growing up in New York, everywhere I've worked, there was just very strong female leadership. When I was at Maria, it was an all-female line. And there was chefs that were female. And then, at Cosme, it was Daniela. She is like one of the most famous female chefs in the world. And I think it's interesting because she doesn't even want to be classified as that because she's just such a good chef. Like, why does it have to be female chef?
The same with like the CEO. I hate that so much.
Yeah. So why does it have to be different?
Yeah.
But when I came to Vegas, I didn't realize that there's no female chefs at the time. When I moved to Vegas, there were less than 10 female executive chefs on the Strip. And I had no idea. Like, I was blown away. I was the only female executive chef at the Wynn. Now there's 4. There's 18 restaurants. So, moving on up. And yes. It wasn't even something that I was like seeking out. I wasn't like going into this being like, I need to have 50% women. But just the female cooks and female leaders gravitated towards the restaurant because they knew that they would have an opportunity to thrive. Right now, 4 of my 6 chefs are female. All of them are amazing. I love them all. And I mean, all of my chefs. And it's just cool watching them grow and watching them thrive, but also just being able to look at like their leader and be like, I can be seen, like I am seen, I can be this. All of my cooks have very different backgrounds, but none of them have worked for a female chef before. And it's funny, they'll make comments to me being like, no one's ever done this for me before. I was like, you've never worked for a woman. And I was like, that's it. It's really weird. And it does feel different for some reason, but I'm really happy that people can be represented. Las Vegas is a hospitality city. The UNLV, which is right here, their biggest program is hospitality. There's culinary programs for high school students all over the Las Vegas area. So many people just come up knowing that they want to go into hospitality, whether it's bartending, culinary, front of house, and there's resources to learn how to do that. And then you're looking at all of the big names, like because especially in Vegas, there's a lot of chef contracts. Like you see the Gordon Ramsays and the Thomas Kellers and all of this, and they're all men.
Yes.
And now you see like a little bit of Giada, you see a little bit of this, but like your face, you never see your face.
A
Being-
woman you can connect to that's not like, I love Martha, but Martha's hard to connect to, right? She is this goddess.
I'm obsessed. Yeah. But no one is on Martha's level. Oh my God. I want Martha to come to Casa Playa so bad. I hope you're listening. But
She's listening too. Let's get her. Martha, please explore Vegas. And Lisa Vanderpump too. I hope she comes in. She's fun.
that'd be amazing.
Yes.
Oh, would love that. In the last 5 years, especially, there has been a huge push for just the representation of female leadership in Las Vegas. There's the Women's Hospitality Initiative, which has been around for about 5 years, which all of the money goes into supporting young females coming up in the industry who might need scholarship programs and stuff like that. And there's a lot of people championing for just representation of female leadership on the strip and off the strip. And when it first started, it felt really small. There's like 2 big events a year. One is the Women's Hospitality Initiative and one's Picnic in the Alley, and all feature local Las Vegas, not even just culinary, like beverage, photographers, media. If you're like local artists, the arts district has a lot of different artists, like tattoos, like people who make just all of the paintings and stuff that you see on the streets that are really, really cool. There's a lot of artists, there's a lot of creatives here in Vegas. And it felt so small. I feel like at first there's like 40-ish people, and now there's like 90 to 100. And there's people from out of state that travel to experience these because we do a whole conference around it. So every year it's getting bigger and bigger, and there's just more and more new faces and also just more familiar faces. We all love building each other up. Like Vegas, I feel, is divided between on strip and off strip. And these initiatives just really help bridge that gap, because so many people who are off strip used to be on strip. And that's where a lot of that talent comes from. A lot of people come up here, but a lot of people came here for a job. I came here for a job. A lot of people came to work for Robichon or Thomas Keller or Gordon Ramsay, because these are the companies that will bring you in. And then they're like, I'm done. I'm going to make my own concept. And they have all of these skills, and they're very well traveled, and they have very diverse experience. Or like Jose Andres, there's a ton of Jose Andres restaurants here. And then they create something really special and unique that's obviously influenced from their experiences, but like their experiences are more vast than this one place. So it's cool seeing the city build up from stuff like that.
Yes. Tell us a little bit more. Like, you have fallen in love with Vegas. It's really clear. So you've been there 5 years. What do you think are the parts that you love the most? And I want to hear too, how are you all continuing to push through misconceptions? So not only in terms of Mexican cuisine, but like also having this like more high-end establishment within Vegas and wanting folks to understand the dining scene better there, whether, like you said, it is on strip or off strip too, and how we can be better supporting kind of that ecosystem as a whole.
I think it's funny that you asked this, because like honestly, until maybe 2 years ago, I was embarrassed that I was like, yeah, I live in Vegas. Yeah. Like, I know, but everything kind of shifted 2 years ago when we first got the James Beard semifinalist last year. And it also coincided with the world's 50 best happening. And then we had North America's 50 best happening. And we're getting all of the best chefs in the world are coming to Vegas. And everyone comes in with this stigma, because like I would hear people just kind of mull and be like, oh, Vegas, like why can't it be, you know, Italy or Mexico or someplace where they deemed to be more exciting. And then they got here. And I always tell people, like, Vegas is what you want it to be. And that experience you had when you were 21, when you came here with no money for a bachelorette party, when you went to go to all of the clubs and you were just really drunk and you had the worst hangover of your life.
The worst food.
Like, yeah. Like,
you're like, I just
like
need a pizza slice, and it's not a good pizza slice, you know?
Yeah. Like, that is Vegas. That can be Vegas. But Vegas is so much more. Like I said, you can be anything you want it to be. Like, you don't need to gamble. You can go to shows. You can go to any restaurant you want. You can golf. You can go to the mountains. Maybe not now because it's like 110 degrees out, but like we're really close to Red Rock. We're really close to the Valley of Fire. We're not far from the Grand Canyon or Zion National Park. There are so many cool things happening here. So when we started getting all of these elite chefs, let's say, to come to Vegas, and I would be able to share Casa Playa with them, you could see that they were enjoying it. I felt like a little bit more like, okay, cool. But then it just kind of kept growing and growing. And I'm like, this is real. And as you share your experience, like my experience is very unique and very different from a lot of my peers in the sense that I work for a big company. And then I just became grateful for these experiences, like what I'm able to do with the platform that I have here, like the ingredients I'm able to bring in and the ingredients I'm able to work with. It went from kind of the feeling of shame to then just like, for the same reasons, like feeling very like prideful of what I'm able to accomplish. Because people always are just like, oh, there's Vegas, so much money. Like, if that's the case, everything would be the best experience of your life. Every single casino ever, right? It's not. We are making something really special and really unique, but there is so many people who are doing that here. So being able to showcase that and being one of the few that are really pushing these boundaries is really cool.
Yes, I think it is really cool. And I love that a lot of your story is pushing through stereotypes, like even when you're like, hi, I'm a white girl who fell in love with Mexican cuisine, but you honor it and show so much respect, but your take on it too, so that people can say, wow, that is different. That is cool. I definitely feel that when people talk about Chicago sometimes too. I mean, not currently reside there, but people have certain stereotypes about the food or safety even. And I'm like, I lived there for over a decade, never felt unsafe. And also there's a lot more than deep dish pizza. We're actually a party cut town.
I was actually born in Chicago, and I would go back there a lot when I was a kid because my parents had a lot of friends there. So every year we would go back for the most part. And like when I was a kid, we did eat a deep dish pizza. But like now, like especially going as an adult, I've gone a few times, and the culinary scene is incredible.
Same.
And like I've also never felt unsafe. I feel very comfortable in cities in general, but like it's a great city. It's very organized. The grids, the water is amazing.
Oh gosh, yeah. I know. Every time I'm there, I'm like, I've missed you, public transit. I need you.
Same here.
And you're coming from New York. Like New York is even better. New York to me is even like cleaner in terms of all of that. And just like crisper.
Yeah. They're so good. I had to get my first car at the age of 30.
And you're like,
I hadn't driven in like 15 years. I hadn't driven since high school.
Like,
and then I had to get a car. Honestly, yeah. And then my wife is born and raised in Manhattan.
Oh,
so she has her license, but then like never drove.
Right. Because she was like, I'm a New Yorker. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. So like we're both learning how to drive again in Vegas at the age of 30. And we're just like, incredible. What is this?
At least it's not LA. I will say those poor
That's true.
Angelinos in their traffic. But I have to ask too about Vegas and just the surrounding Nevada area. So I always love visiting the desert. Was just in New Mexico last month, right before the beards, just for vacation. And there is just something so special about the ingredients that you can find out there too. So are you pulling ingredients then from Mexico as well as the surrounding area? And how have you gotten to know your different purveyors and farmers that work really well with these totally, like you said, these different agave plants and corn and something along those lines?
So we source the backbone of our cuisine from Mexico. So we get all of our corn from Mexico. We work with Hacienda, and I love Hacienda. I will always be a huge fan of them. Like Cosme was Hacienda's first restaurant customer. So I've been working with them for almost 15 years now, which is crazy. But I really appreciate what they're doing. They're going to small farms in Mexico and they're buying all of their product, all of their corn. And that's often more than what they could sell in a year or at the markets and stuff. So then they're able to take all of this money and put it back into their business, back into their farm, back into their community, and also continue to grow this amazing product for us because none of us would have access to it otherwise. We get almost all of our chilies from Mexico. And then of course our agaves, we can't not get our mezcals and tequilas from Mexico. So that's the backbone. But one thing about Mexican cuisine is it's very like when you're in Mexico, you're not going to send ingredients from Oaxaca to Baja or like the Yucatan. You use the ingredients that you have. And in Las Vegas, we're not really known for having a lot of products. The only thing that we actually get here is our mushrooms. There's a really beautiful mushroom farm called Desert Moon, and they grow all of their mushrooms hydroponically, and it's awesome. It's really cool. They're making some of the best mushrooms I've ever had. We use it in our maitake mushroom dish. There's 3 mushrooms on it all day. 2 of them come from them. The other one is truffles. So obviously that's not coming from something that's hydroponic, but I really enjoy their product. But other than that, we do need to go to California for a lot of our produce. And people always say that's local, but it's the closest thing that we have. and they do have access to a lot of really great stuff. So we get almost all of our produce from the Santa Monica Farmers Market. We work with purveyors that go there for us and source things for us, and we order specific things, and they're really good about sending us good things that they see. Like I recently put on a scallop crudo with apricot and lemon verbena because our farmers texted us saying like apricots are insane right now. And I don't even like apricots very much. I love stone fruits, but apricots in my mind are like, I would go like peach, blue plum, apricot. I'm not going to seek them out. They're insane. And like, they were so good, we made a dish out of them. So it's really cool just having that relationship and like communication, because otherwise we wouldn't have access to this. And we do also make a huge effort to change our menu seasonally. There are some things that will never come off that are a little bit more omni-seasonal, but I really like eating vegetables. I like feeling good. You don't want to go to a restaurant and feel like so weighed down and heavy with like these like fatty, rich proteins. I want beautiful fish. I want light, crisp vegetables. I want the ingredients to really shine. And I feel like that we get our corn and our chilies and we make these like beautiful, rich moles and adobos. And other than that, we just try to focus on these really beautiful touches and elevate the ingredients that we have access to. We don't source all of our fish from the Pacific coast, but we try to source as much as possible. We get our lobster from Maine. We get our branzino from the Mediterranean. And unfortunately, like those are just things that we kind of have to have on a Vegas menu. People love branzino. People love lobster. And one thing that's really cool about the Wynn is they have this huge warehouse. So this is the thing that blew me away. The Wynn has a warehouse. There's two warehouses. One is for liquor. One is for food. And it stores the most used items that people order. And it can be the in-room dining amenities. It can be toilet paper, but it also can be lobsters. There's lobster tanks that are like bigger than my house. It's insane. They go through like tens of thousands of lobsters. They get it in twice a week or 3 times a week. So they all stay fresh. They all stay live. And then onions. And we actually buy so much corn from Hacienda. We stock it in our warehouse and we'll buy tens of thousands of kilos of corn at a time because we're cooking, 50 kilos a day, which yields like 100 kilos of masa. We go through a lot of volume and we make all of our corn in-house. We do all of our tortillas hand pressed, all of our tostadas, our tamales, all of it is made in-house. So instead of ordering directly from them every day, we're just buying large volumes of it because there's somewhere to store it. It's insane. And also they have like cleaning supplies. Everyone needs dishwasher detergent. So they just stock it. King crab, like what Vegas restaurant doesn't have king crab?
I was like
think about those buffets.
You're very like, oh, I'm here for a fancy time. I'm here for a glamorous time,
Exactly. So honestly, that was so cool for me to see because I've heard people talk about this. I've heard of restaurant groups as they're expanding, talk about purchasing power and ordering things in bulk. And then because there's just so many moving parts or all of the restaurants are not in the same area, it doesn't always look the way they talk about it, like the execution. And then you come here and it's like, no, this is what they mean. And I'm like, wow, I've never seen this before. I think it's so cool.
My God, I need you to like take a video series sometime for your social media and show us what the depths of the Wynn look like. It reminds me of, the Merch Mart in Chicago. I've done startup work out of there with a food company I worked with. And so sometimes I'd be like, oh, okay, a chef creator's here and they have a palette of food. And I'd go from this kind of techie / design area of this gorgeous historical building that used to have its own zip code and go to the depths with that pushes the palette and be like, coming through.
And you're just like
with
in
chili
the
oil and like
yeah.
trying to navigate through. And it really is like this underground city of these places. So I feel like that would be a cool backstory for people to see. This is not only where the ingredients come from, but this is actually how the ingredients are stored. Trust us, it's all good, it's safe. But here's our little world down here. That would be fun.
It blows me away. And the warehouse is a mile from my restaurant. So
you're getting 10,000 steps easily.
Yeah. Well, there's someone who like they have like machines that bring it, like people like the like runners. I don't know what they're called. They kind of look like forklifts, but they don't go up.
Yeah, the little guys.
But, yeah, that bring them to us. But say like, oh my God, like they sent unripe avocados. We need ripe avocados, but we need them now. We have to send someone to the warehouse in that moment to get them, and like we won't see this person for 30 minutes.
And get right ones and make sure, like, because that trip, it's a journey. Got to put a
Yeah,
podcast on for that.
seriously.
Oh my
The Wynn
gosh.
also is cool. They do all of their breads in house. So they have this huge pastry department, and there's Chef Jenny does all of their pastries, and like she oversees everything. So I work at a restaurant that has their own pastry chef, but not all of the restaurants do. Think about how many casual dining outlets there are. Think about banquets and catering. Like think
Yes.
about the buffet. Those are a lot of desserts. There isn't a pastry chef for the buffet. There's a whole pastry department that oversees all of this. And there's someone who does all of their cakes and all of their designs for their cakes and all of the sugar and chocolate work that is on display at the buffet. Like people are hired to do that. Like all of the chocolate and all of the amenities that's made in house. There's also a huge Danish department and a huge bread department. So like there's rooms and giant rooms that just for bread, just for Danishes. And they make everything in house. It's
beautiful.
it's insane
This
to
sounds
watch
like
it
the
all come
perfect
together.
rooms. I'm like, I want to go to that
It's,
room.
it smells so good.
It would be really hard. Thank you for taking us behind the scenes too of what this really looks like. Because again, it's like any big city. You've got hits and you've got misses, right? In terms of places that you're going to eat. Sometimes you're like, man, I felt like that was overpriced. But like when you get to hear the intricacies behind this all, it's really cool. So thank you. And I'm just so excited for you and everything you're doing. Last few questions, because I know you're a busy lady and you got to get going soon. I want to hear what you think is next, what you would want for the future. Is it Sarah's own empire throughout Vegas, just like Thomas and the Wolfgang Puck brand and things along those lines? Is it something that isn't within the restaurant space? And also, really what your own goals and dreams are as you're continuing to push forward. I feel like these different communities that you represent, not only pushing women forward, but also the Mexican and Latin communities here too.
So I'm an employee of the Wynn. I work for the Wynn. So I wouldn't be able to go and just open Mexican concepts all over. Like it would need to be tied to that. And as you can tell, I really like my job. What I would love to do in a perfect world is be able to expand on not necessarily brand Casa Playa, but create similar concepts that would work in other markets that the Wynn is in, and just be able to showcase what we're doing to different areas of the world. Right now, we're working on a tasting counter. So we have two really big bars at the restaurant, and we want to change one of them to a tasting counter where it would be 8 to 10 seats, 2 seatings. And just, we work on so many little different bites. But when you zoom out, like on the weekends, especially, we're going to be doing 500 covers. We're a busy restaurant. There are certain things we just can't execute at that level. So I'm always working on all of these things, and there are certain things that we just can't do. And I really would love to be able to showcase just a little bit more elegant and elevated experience with like different bites, really showcasing masa and seafood, the two things that really tie our restaurant together in a more elevated platform.
Yes.
So I'm really excited about that. And I'm actively working on that now. So I'm really excited about that. But I just want to continue to grow. I feel like you see in Vegas a lot of restaurants kind of get stagnant. Like there are restaurants that change a lot, but there are a lot of restaurants that don't change very much. And I want to make sure that Casa Playa continues to push the limits and continues to develop and continues to grow and continues to be a place that is for mentorship, for teaching, for representing anyone who wants to be represented. Because kitchens are diverse, restaurants are diverse. And I want everyone to feel like they're a part of this, because everyone in that room, everyone who works there is equally as important. That's something that I feel very strongly about.
You're a month out of this huge win of Best Chef Southwest at GBA's, but I do have to ask you, you've done a lot. What do you think you're most proud of?
I think I'm the most proud of, that's loaded. I mean, I'm the most proud of what we've been able to accomplish. I'm proud of the fact that the trust of the people above me and the ability to continue to push and continue to grow and have the resources to actually do it. And just being able to take home this award is so meaningful for every person that works at the restaurant and just the city. And it feels really great.
Last question before our world's best and hardest question, which you answered in person with me. But I also know that this changes for people. So we're going to do it again. I have to ask though, what is your one piece of advice for someone who wants to start something of their own, whether it's within food and bev or any other industry?
I would say don't give up and take risks. When I was asked to come to Vegas, I didn't want to, and I didn't say yes right away. And then when I did, it was hard for 2 years because it was a restaurant that I moved up here for, and then the pandemic happened, and then all of these things changed, but I kept to it. And it was a very difficult decision moving to a city where you know no one, you had no friends, and then you're told to stay inside and don't talk to people. And then you just kept going and kept pushing. And none of this would have happened if I had given up and just gone back to New York. And that risk is why all of this success happened. So don't be afraid.
It takes
Do it.
forwards.
Yeah.
I think worse is the regret looking back on something later and saying, oh, I wish I would have asked, or I wish I would have tried that, or what would have been the answer? You know?
You never know.
You know? Oh, Sarah, this has been incredible. Thank you again so much for taking the time. You just have such a light, and I'm so excited about everything you're doing. I can't wait to come out there and visit you. We have to go to the world's best and hardest question again. As a reminder for folks, this is called the perfect bite, not just because it's a perfect bite of our friends across the food and beverage industry and the value they bring all of us, but because we each have our own perfect bites. So something that you've eaten, whether it's a family recipe, something you had on vacation, just every time you think about it, it makes you smile. So Sarah, what is your perfect bite?
So I had to think about this a lot. And I was like talking to my chefs, and they're like, all you eat is crunchy vegetables. And I was like, but that's not the perfect bite. That's just what I eat because it's in front of me. So
Oh, veggie.
the start of a meal, I feel like can go in so many different directions, right? Like depending on, are you at a steakhouse? Are you at a Thai restaurant? Are you at like a tasting menu counter? The start of the meal can be so different. But I feel like you always have to end with something sweet. And I have a huge sweet tooth.
Me too.
So I would say that my perfect bite would be a scoop of ice cream at the end of the meal. And it can change because I go through different cravings of ice creams at different times, but I love finishing with a scoop of ice cream.
It really is the best bite. Like,
So good.
what is your current favorite? What's a summertime favorite for you?
I really like sherbet. I really like sherbet. I've been eating a lot of burnt orange sherbet, but my go-to is usually mint chocolate chip.
I like that.
Yeah. How about you?
Oh my gosh. So you grew up in the Midwest, technically. So I had this just the other day again. Blue Moon ice cream. So it is not beer.
We do not.
Do you know
You
this?
hear about Blue Moon?
Okay, so it's
I
not
think,
beer
isn't it-
flavored. It is not beer
No.
flavored. It's bright blue. It's kind of tutti fruity, amaretto-esque tasting is how people have described it. So fruitiness, maybe almondness to it. It's not actually almonds because I have tree nut allergy, but it's something I just fell in love with as a kid, and you can only find it in a few Midwestern states. And we were heading back to Illinois this past weekend and had that. So there you go.
That sounds delightful. I love that.
Get yourself to the Midwest in the summer. Go Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois. You're going to find it. And at like a specialty, like a small scoop shop, not like a Ben and Jerry's, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I can picture the building that I want to buy this from.
yes, a little rundown.
Yeah.
Owned forever. You're going to love it.
Drive up. Like, yep.
Yes. Yes. This has been beautiful, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. This is a great conversation.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you and everything you're doing. Can you let folks know? So we know you're at the Wynn at Casa Playa, but can you let us know social accounts, website, or any other, say, like partnerships or events you're going to be at coming up?
So you can find me at Instagram, Sarah C. Thompson _,
Yeah.
and then Casa Playa .win Las Vegas for Casa Playa. That's where you can find us. And also something that we're doing upcoming is we're working with Chef's Table for their Chef's Table Festival. And then also the Wynn throws a food festival, and we're partnering with Chef's Table for that as well, called Revelry. So we'll be in Park City August 13th through 16th. And then we'll be back in Vegas. Well, I'll be back in Vegas for a lot longer than that. But the Revelry Festival is on September 18th through 20th.
Amazing.
So hopefully we'll see some people there.
Yes. I'm so sad I can't go to the first Chef's Table event. I'm headed up to upstate New York. So,
Oh, that would be nice
Yeah.
though.
yeah, for some other food friends. So I'll be on the opposite side this time, but have the best time. This is going to be
Thank
such
you.
a special moment. Thank you again. And just want to thank everyone again for listening in. This was Sarah Thompson's Perfect Bite.
Thanks for tuning in to The Perfect Bite today. You can listen to future episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Thanks in advance for subscribing, rating, and reviewing. You can follow The Perfect Bite on social media @PerfectBitePod. Now go get something good to eat.